Yo, what's going on, guys? Chris Barnes here, Overtime Athletes, back with another episode of our coach series where I walk you through some of my favorite movements that we are performing with our athletes. These are staple movements, principles that we actually use to lay that foundation and overall elevate our athletes' performance. For today, we're gonna flip over to a more upper body exercise, pressing exercise, overhead exercise that I absolutely love, typically in my phase one of working with our athletes. So this is going to be the Z press, or it could be the seated overhead press, whichever you want to call it. We could do these both with a barbell and with a dumbbell. And the reason why I love these is simply because not only are we getting the stimulus from pushing vertically overhead, but also we could do it where we can engage the trunk and really lay a foundation to be able to support the overall torso. So Jake's gonna be our model for today. What we're gonna do is demonstrate with the dumbbell. I'll go ahead and get into the things that I'm looking for from a cueing perspective. So number one, we wanna be seated with our legs straight out. Now, if you start to open it up or you start to bend, you're not gonna actually engage the trunk as much. So if we're about legs about hip width apart and straight out, this is what I'm looking for. Your feet aren't flat on the ground, your toes are gonna be up in the air. Now, the biggest thing that I'm looking for is, so the easiest way to do it is put them on your thigh and then go ahead and kick them up. Yep, put them in position. Now, from this position right here, what I'm looking for is, I'm looking for this athlete. So I want you to imagine you have a hook right underneath your rib cage and I'm pulling it up, right? So as you can see right there from that movement, he went from a flexed position to a more extended position. So I want him as tall and as long in his trunk that he possibly can. Keeping the chin tucked, tongue on the roof of the mouth. You can see that the elbows are slightly pulled forward. However, his shoulders are still pinned back. So scap retracted right there. Now from this position right here, you're just gonna drive overhead, just like that. Boom. Good, go ahead, give me 3, 2, bang. Now, other things that I'm looking for, I don't want the athlete to flare out the elbows. I'm never looking, usually typically none of my athletes are performing an overhead from out here. It's a little bit more of a bodybuilding style. If I want to create a bigger stimulus for the torso, I can have the athlete start to bring more of a neutral grip and bring those elbows in. What this is gonna do is it's gonna force that anti-flexion as they go to press overhead. So it's just a little bit more torso stimulus. Go ahead and pop it back up. As you see, bring the elbows forward a little bit more, neutral grip. So as that athlete and as that resistance tends to come forward and press up, now what's happening is it's forcing that torso to engage and support that a little bit more. Good, a couple more. 1, a little bit tougher. 2, good, stay long. The biggest cue that I'm cueing here is for them to stay long. Go ahead and drop those down. Now, it's typically the same thing if you want to flip around real quick. It's essentially the same exact thing that we're doing with a barbell. You just got to create basically a space where they could be able to perform it, unrack it, and then push. So same thing. When I teach with a barbell, anything overhead, yeah, elbows slightly out front. Make sure you're staying completely upright. Now the other thing too is you want to tip your head up, right? Push straight up, and as you clear the head, go ahead and pull your head through. Good, that's what I'm looking for. Elbows are slightly ahead, and the lower limb of the arm is completely vertical. A couple other things that I won't want to do from a hand positioning standpoint, especially on the barbell when I'm teaching overhead, is I want to be shoulder to just outside shoulder. I don't want to go any wider than that. That's getting a little bit more of a stimulus from a hypertrophy perspective, a little bit more bodybuilding. When I'm thinking about overhead and I'm working through that trunk, is I'm trying to go straight here, basically pressing straight overhead. Now, if I have overhead athletes, I typically stick with the dumbbells. If I have football athletes, things like that, I could go ahead and get on some of the barbells. So there you have it, guys. This is one of my one of my favorite presses for our guys to be able to perform. Z press from a vertical pushing standpoint, vertical pressing standpoint. Make sure you're adding it into your repertoire. If you're interested in more of the hows, whys, the theory behind some of our methods and training here at OTA, go ahead and check out the link down below where you can become a certified performance coach. Talk to you guys next time.